Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be fitting flashing tape as a temporary repair to this flat roof. It literally is just to stop the rain getting in until we're ready to re-render the property and fit the permanent lead flashing. But before I talk about the flashband, I want to give some background as to why we need to do this job in the first place. So, long story short, some time ago someone applied the wrong type of render to these beautiful bricks on this old property, causing the damp internally and resulting in all of these nasty cracks. The plan is to remove the render, repair the brickwork and pointing, and then reapply a more sympathetic, breathable render. I'll be making other videos on the render removal and brickwork repairs on the Burwood Refurb, so be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and then you won't miss another episode. So this is the actual job. We've been, as a separate project, we've been removing the render off the wall. As we did that, the lead became loose, so we had some lead flashing that came out of here and ran down here in front of the felt. Now, we've had to take the lead out because it became loose. It was causing a bit of a trip hazard. But in doing so, we've exposed this area now to any heavy rainfall. So any heavy rain is now coming down the wall. With this felt sort of bent over like that, it's actually acting as a gutter. So the rain is getting in here and then into the fabric of the house. So potentially, even over a short period of time of a few weeks, it's going to cause damage maybe to the roof structure. We just don't want moisture getting in there. So we're going to use the flashband as a temporary fix. We're going to stick it over this area here and then hopefully stop for just a few weeks at least, or maybe up to a month, stop the rain getting in and causing any long-term damage. So that's the plan anyway. Now back to fitting the flashband. So to start, obviously you're going to need a roll of flashband. It's also known as flashing tape and it's available in different widths and lengths to suit your job. For the most reliable finish, I'd highly recommend applying a primer before fitting the flashband, especially if the surface is porous, rough or dusty. You'll need a seam roller to get the edges nice and sealed. I found this decorator's roller from Harris does a really good job. And finally, to heat up the bitumen adhesive, I'd strongly recommend getting a heat gun. You'll get a much better finish. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll already know my first attempt didn't go to plan. Good morning. So, this morning we're going to be doing a temporary repair on this felt. Obviously, taking the lead out, we've got the bricks have broken away. Taking the lead out, we've got no protection here now, and it's actually already smelling damp after a couple of days of rain. But the weather had other ideas. The first rule of fitting flashband: don't try it in the wet. Luckily, several days later, the sun came out, the brickwork dried out, and we were able to get on with the job. The first step is to ensure the surface is dust-free and remove all the loose material. To clean the dirty brickwork, you can use a detergent solution and apply using a nylon brush. Never use a wire brush or metal tools to clean, as this can damage the actual brick face. For this temporary job, I've just put the brush head on my Henry Hoover, and that's pretty good at sucking up all the dust and dirt off the face of the bricks. So this is the flashing tape itself. It comes in various sizes to suit your job. It creates an instant waterproof seal, and it can be used on repairing lead flashing, repairing gutters. Even though the manufacturers say it has a life of 15 years, I'd only ever really use this as a repair for damage to maybe felt roofs. I certainly wouldn't be using it as a replacement to lead flashing, because I think the lead flashing looks so much better. But as a repair, it does the job. Now we've got it cleaned up, it's time to take the flashband out of the packaging and get it measured up. So you're going to need to get yourself a sharp knife and then get a bit of board underneath the flashband and then cut it with a straight edge. We don't want to be cutting into the felt roof and having to replace that. Hopefully also we'll be able to reuse the lead that we've taken out from the wall. It's all in good condition, so we should just be able to put some patination oil on it again and refit it. If you're thinking of doing this type of job yourself, then I'd recommend you getting a heat gun. The prices start around £20. This one from DeWalt cost me £40. It's corded, it's got 1800 watts of power, and it's got multiple controls of the airflow and also the temperature. I'll be doing a full review shortly, so keep an eye on my channel. So if you're interested in knowing more about this heat gun, I've got good news. I've actually already uploaded the video since shooting this film. It's available now on my channel and I'll put a link in the description. If you've got yourself a heat gun, now's the time to use it. It's a case of heating up the flashband, warming up the bitumen adhesive, and then hopefully it'll become more tacky and it will stick much better. We start peeling off the backing paper of the flashband, then we can start sticking it to the wall, working our way along, smoothing our hands over it. It might be easier to wear gloves for this as well, pushing it into all the gaps. On this, some of the mortar's dropped out between the bricks in several locations. This is a temporary job, as I've already said many times, so I'm just going to be pushing it into the gaps as I work it all the way along. This is Bostik Flashband Primer. It's ideal for using when the temperatures are cold and damp to give you a longer lasting bond. Now, I'm going to look like a bit of a hypocrite now because I'm actually not planning to use this stuff today, and I'm telling you guys that you should probably be using it. And the reason is because it does such a good job. The bond is really good on this. It's very tacky stuff, and once you apply the flashband, it's going to be almost impossible to get it off easily. And seeing as my repair is only a temporary repair, it's literally just to keep the rain out, and I'm just worried that the bond is going to be so good it's going to be really difficult to take it off. So for now, I'm just applying the flashband. After you've done a first pass, smoothing it over with your hands, it's time to come back again with the heat gun and seam roller. Rollering it over, making sure the edges are nice and stuck to the brickwork is really important to get this right at the top, to make sure it's stuck really well, because this is where the water is going to penetrate, if it's going to penetrate anywhere. So as you can see, it is a really simple job to do. If you've got damage to a flat roof, if it's easy to get out there, if you're competent to do the job yourself, you could first prevent long-term damage inside, maybe to your roof, the walls, the structure of the building, but also save on costs of emergency call-outs. You can then get the roof replaced at a time of your choosing. This stuff is 100% waterproof if it's applied correctly in this manner. So that's why I'd highly recommend keeping a roll of flashband in the garage just in case of an emergency. So, change of plan. It looks like we will be using primer after all. So I was pretty happy with what we've done so far, but this corner is just way too flaky, powdery, and I just don't think it's a bit being on the corner as well, it's more likely to peel off and the water get in there. So I think we're going to do a bit of priming. We're going to use this primer just on this section here, and we're going to do an overlap here just to make sure it's nice and fixed. But before we put any primer on, I'm going to get a screw and just fix this back because it's quite springy, there's quite a bit of force here, and I want to give it a fighting chance of lasting more than 5 minutes. We need at least a month protection out of this. So if I fix this back and prime it and then apply a new patch over here with an overlap, I think we're going to do a lot better. You definitely want to be wearing safety glasses and gloves when you're using this stuff. Not pleasant at all. Then it's just a case of painting on the primer with a soft bristle brush and waiting for it to dry. You're probably looking at between 20 minutes to 2 hours depending on the weather conditions. Today I'm going to be giving it an hour until I go up and fit the flashband. Now it's recommended to do a 1-inch overlap on vertical joints. I prefer to do 2 inches because I'm a bit of a belt and braces guy, but it's up to you. Between 1 inch and 2 inches should be fine. Job done. So it's several days later and it literally hasn't stopped raining since we fitted the flashband. It's not perfectly smooth, there are a few creases and wrinkles in it, but as I said at the start of the video, this is just a temporary fix to stop water getting in between the wall and the felt roof. Once the weather improves, we'll be back to re-render and fit the much better looking LED flashing. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Three and a 2 and a 3, 2, 1 and a